Here's a little tour of the warming cabinet so far. We've got double barn doors here, and the reasoning for that is I want this cabinet to open completely without the doors being an encumbrance at all. So we've got 48 inches wide here, and the reason I need to build it that wide is my intention is to be able to set pallets of honey pails. I've got 6 pails on a pallet, and this will take one pallet on the bottom and with another pallet stacked on the top. This is it's not complete, so there's things missing. And this is the return air duct, which will be closed off in the back. You'll see that in a bit. So I've got 2 warm ducts coming up on the edges here. The air should come up through here and out the top at the back. And the airflow is being provided by 2 of these 6-inch inline duct fans, and that's the bottom of the return air duct. So the air will come back down there and then back up here. The space in the center there between the fans will have this bank of lights. I've got a 150 watt bulb to go in each socket. I broke one here. I have to get another one. And the principle is that the temperature controller will control the lights, but the fans will plug in here. This is secured to the plywood, and the fans will run full time, so they'll plug in here. My temperature controller, there's the sensor bulb, and this is the controller I'm going to use. I used an Inkbird controller on my last cabinet, and it was very unreliable and had to be thrown in the garbage. They did replace it once, and the replacement was no better than the first unit. So I've got this cabinet screwed to this skid so I can move it around. I didn't mention that I have a little tractor for moving skids and whatnot, so putting things on skids is really handy for me. This door overlaps that one to hold it closed, and it's very hard to take pictures of this. I'm cladding it with 1 inch of polystyrene here. I've strapped around the outsides so I can attach some kind of a cladding, and then polystyrene in the middle. Cut that with a table saw, man, you can really make a nice job, make it accurate. So this is also insulated. I've put washer screws here because there's nothing holding this in. It's a cavity. This will have cladding on it all the way across here, and these are just here to hold it on while I get the cladding on. So one more little piece has to go here. I'm not going to cut that until I'm done cutting the big pieces to save material. It's very expensive stuff. So, and again, this is the duct for the return air. That's 3 inches by, I think, 30, something like that. So that theoretically matches the square inchage of the ducts that are coming in there from the fans. So that's about all I have to show at this point. I hope this works out with heating. It's really not much bigger than my last cabinet. Differences in my last cabinet were the door was smaller. Oh, I've got these nice piano hinges. I love these hinges. They're easy to line up and they hold everything nice and square. So the last cabinet I built, which I sold in order to fund this one, so it was almost as wide. It was probably about this wide here, and it was as tall, every bit as tall. I could stack 2 pails in there, plus there was a shelf for some boxes. The downside of the last one is the heater. The heater was here on the floor, so I couldn't stack any pails or anything there. So I had I couldn't even go 3 pails across. Whereas I'm hoping this, having the heater down below, is going to be effective enough, and the airflow will kind of eliminate or mitigate any hot spots and cold spots. Because I'm planning to melt, 600 pounds of honey in here, 12 5-gallon pails of honey. So, yeah, the other cabinet would have almost fit one of my pallets, except for the door. I didn't build the door barn door style like this, but this is great. This will open right up and allow me access to the whole thing, because I've only got maybe 2 or 3 inches wide. I think those pallets are 44, and so that leaves me theoretically 4 inches, 2 on each side. So it's going to be a little tricky loading with the tractor, but I'm really trying to make my workflow so that I don't need to lift things. You wear yourself out that way. And if I've got a little tractor I can lift things with, I'd far rather have it do the lifting. So one thing I didn't show you is there's a cover for this heater part. It's just a narrow cover, and it doesn't have to be hinged or anything. Typically I won't need to get into that very often, so I don't know what I'll do there. I might just do maybe a draw catch on each side. Maybe I'll just screw it on there. I don't know. But anyway, it'll get insulated and screwed on there. So anyway, that's just a little video on the cabinet. I know some people were asking about it, so I just put the polystyrene on the top. We're going to do the sides, and then maybe see if we can cut up some sheets. I have some used 3/8 plywood that I can cut up for this, and this kind of looks awful, this plywood, water stains, etc. Well, I'm going cheap here. I used almost completely all kind of seconds and reclaimed lumber. All of the strapping I made is all crap I've scrounged out of the yard, and this 5/8 plywood that I used for the box was seconds, and it was a real bear to work with. It's not even square, let alone, have much integrity to it. It's pretty awful. Yeah, look at my duct. Terrible. I didn't make the hole quite big enough, so it got all bent up. I shouldn't bother. So, anyway, we'll get some pictures later when it's running. I'll see how it actually warms up, and we'll go from there. Have fun.